Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, saying that the Yankees might go. Now, look, this could be posturing. Who the hell knows? But we're just going based off of the report here that the Yankees appear increasingly likely to go with a more inexpensive option at first base. So maybe the dreams of Christian Walker being added to that lineup in place of, Juan Soto, him, and Bellinger, maybe those dreams are slowly dying here for the Yanks.
Yeah, I know I'm on at 3 o'clock in the morning, Sal, but I've been saying it forever. Plan B sucks. And this is why Plan B sucks. It was nice for a week, and I'm sure Yankee fans were very happy to get Bellinger and pivot quickly to Max Fried and let Cashman cook. People actually said that. I want everyone to remember. I want people to remember when you're killing them in 2 weeks, because this is why they had too many holes. Plan B sucks, and you knew the Yankees, and you're hearing the reason why. Because the Yankees still, their farm system sucks. Everyone's killing them, their farm system. They don't want to give up 4 draft picks. They've already signed Fried, given up 2. Because of where they are at the luxury tax, they would have to give up another 2 picks to sign someone the likes with the qualifying offer, like Alonso, like Walker. Okay. This was always, they weren't going to go out, and he said at the beginning of the offseason he wasn't going to be drunken. He wasn't going to be a drunken sailor. There was always going to be a pivot to lesser options, and it's never going to be as good as just getting Juan Soto. And you're seeing it now. The New York Yankees might pivot to Paul Goldschmidt. There's still trades to be worked. It's not even just the money, which they're right at the threshold right now of that final, that tax threshold. Right. If they don't trade Stroman, which I think they will, they could get Grisham off the roster as well and save $5 million. So there's options to still save some money and spend it elsewhere. But they were never going to come out and sign Pete Alonso, go get Alex Bregman, go get Max Fried. It was always going to be a part B. Part A, they came out fast and furious, and everybody loved it. Part B, I totally believe these reports. I don't think they want to give big money to a big-time first baseman, especially when you're talking about next offseason and 2 younger, potentially big-time free agents in Vladimir Guerrero and or Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, and who knows how they're going to be able to fit those guys. And remember, the Yankees have a lot of big money already invested.
Big-time money.
If Carlos Rodon was what he was supposed to be, they wouldn't have had to go get Max Fried.
Correct.
But he wasn't, so that money is spent badly, and now they have Max Fried on top of that. And, you lose Juan Soto. By the way, if they would have gotten Soto, that's basically the equivalent to Bellinger and Fried money-wise.
Correct.
I don't know about you. I'd rather have Juan Soto than both Bellinger and Fried.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we agree with that.
Yes.
Now, their lineup, to get better than what it was a year ago, obviously you would hope that it has more length, and I do think Bellinger fits better than Soto, meaning he could play center field or first base fine. Right. But Bellinger for Soto is not an equal trade by any stretch.
No.
So it was always, it's got to be then Bellinger plus, and really, the dream to me, C-Mac, would have been Soto plus.
Right. But it could have been. Theoretically, it could have still been Soto. It wouldn't have been Fried. But it could have still been, because they wouldn't have committed long-term. It could have been Soto Walker, or honestly, it could have been Soto Bellinger. Okay, but that was possible, and not touch the pitching.
Now that it's not Soto, and they spent that same money that they would have spent on Soto on Bellinger and Fried,
correct.
The question is now what? Because clearly everybody would agree they need more in that lineup. Are you okay with Goldschmidt at first? And then what's going to happen at third? Assuming that if they're going to go cheap at first, I would assume that takes them out of the Bregman conversation.
I would think so.
Okay, so then it's not only is it not going to be, let's say, Walker and Bregman, it's going to be potentially like Carlos Santana, or as you said, a trade. Or maybe you're looking at LeMahieu, Ben Rice at first, and a trade for a third baseman.
Yeah. No, I think what you're looking at, and what I loved about the Bellinger move is the flexibility it allows for the next move. If they went out and got a first baseman, if they went out and got a first baseman, now you're like, oh, you have to get a second baseman or an outfielder. They got a first baseman or an outfielder. It opens up their horizon. And right now, I think it's a little bit of that where, right now the first base market seems crazy. Nobody's in on Pete Alonso. Christian Walker was hot and heavy the first 3 days of the offseason. People got a whiff to what he's asking for, and that's gone ice cold. So part of it might be Cashman saying, hey, I've got options at first base. I don't need to spend big money. I can go get Paul Goldschmidt. I could go get Santana. I can trade for a Yandy Diaz. That's kind of been out there, that Yandy Diaz and a Lau from Tampa Bay would fix both of their problems. There are options at first base, much more than third, much more than second, even much more than impactful outfield bats at this point. So I think some of it is probably posturing and trying to get this first base market to reality, because nobody, not just the Yankees, nobody seems interested in making impact at first base. But this is what it is. They are going to go cheap somewhere. I think Jason Dominguez is the starting center fielder. I think there's a chance that you see a group of Oswaldo Cabrera and DJ LeMahieu get a turn at second base, Ben Rice be part of a Paul Goldschmidt kind of
Right.
platoon at first because Paul Goldschmidt did have a better second half. He is a former MVP. He still hits really well against left-handed pitching.
You said something interesting there. You used the word whiffed, and I always thought it was whiff.
Yeah.
Get a whiff of something, or is it get a whiffed of something?
Did I say whiffed?
You said whiffed.
Well, I think when you swing and miss, you whiffed. But if you get a whiff, I believe if I said whiffed, I believe I stand incorrect. I'm incorrect on that.
And I was just looking it up real quick as you were talking right there. I think both apply here. Hoff, are you familiar with if it's whiffed or whiff?
Wait. How did I use it?
You said get a whiffed of.
Did I?
Like the first base market.
Yeah.
If you get a whiff of what Walker's going to be going for, I think they use that.
Yeah, but that's a whiff. If you're going to smell it, if you
I think
swing
it's a whiff.
it's a whiff.
I think it's a whiff. I think I misspoke.
Or swift.
Either way.
Thank you for interrupting me. Hoping to
you'll have to check that.
for
No,
me.
I just wanted to clarify that. So yeah, I think the plan B, and this is what I was always saying, C-Mac, that while it could be enticing and different to build out a team,
right?
Where Soto doesn't fit because he's redundant, like he can't play right field and Judge can't play center anymore, so both are going to be in right or DH with Stanton, like it's kind of screwed up there. So yeah, Bellinger fits because he can play either first or the outfield. It's not as good as Soto. And then when you start if you now take Walker off the table and Alonso, and I'll get your thoughts on where you think, like, if you would go after Alonso. I don't think he was a good fit for the Yankees in particular.
Yeah.
He's going to get probably more than Walker. It just doesn't work. Another aging, non-good defensive player.
Yeah.
Power bat at first bat. I think Walker's the better fit. Shorter commitment, better fielder.
Yeah.
And he still provides you some offense. But if you're taking him off the table, I'd be okay with Santana if it were an addition to Bregman. Any scenario that doesn't include Bregman and or one of the top free agent first basemen, to me, is even worse than maybe Yankee fans could have thought after losing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think their pitching right now is this side of maybe Seattle, and that's just the starting pitching. Their overall pitching, top to bottom, is the best in the American League.
Right.
So that's where they pivoted.
But it was good last year.
Yeah, but it wasn't good. I mean, it was better. The bullpen had times in the season. By the end of the season and into the postseason, the back end did solidify itself with Clay Holmes becoming a viable option.
Right.
But like through the course of the year, the bullpen was a disaster at long stretches of the season. And their starting rotation was okay, but you saw at the end of the year, they were relying on pitchers. Like Max Fried is a major upgrade in a postseason series. There's no doubt about it. They've upgraded.
He might be their ace.
We'll see what Cole. I still believe Cole will be Cole. But
I love Cole, but he was coming over here where he was hurt. And also
the last time we saw him, he went out there and the team gave away the fifth inning. He came back out and threw another 2 innings on top of it.
I agree.
Like John Smoltz called it the most impressive thing he's ever seen from a starting pitcher. And he was on the 90s staff of the Atlanta Braves.
Right, but how about the first game that he pitched when he didn't want to go out there more? I know what you're saying.
No, I know. And he's scared of Devers and the Red Sox.
I'm not even worried about that.
There's things that bother me about him as an ace, quote unquote, but he's an excellent starting pitcher.
I worry about age and health at this point with Garrett. Anyway,
not yet. I would have to see more.
Right now, no matter what, you can't dispute it's arguably the second best 1-2 punch in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Just second only to the Dodgers.
They improved themselves with the pitching. The offense was always like they lost Juan Soto. The offense was always going to take a step back. Like you mentioned, Bregman. Bregman had a down year.
Yeah.
He had the lowest the hard contact rate of his career. His OPS was trash. He rebounded in the second half. You want to talk about aging, and who knows? He's going to go from left field at Yankee Stadium from where he was in Houston with the Crawford boxes.
I don't like that.
His power numbers are going to come down. The defense helps, and you can still improve this defense. You're going to reshape the Yankees. You're not going to make them as good offensively, almost no matter what you do. And you could do things to make them in this year possibly better, but not long term. And the Yankees aren't thinking that way.
Right.
That's why you see the Bellinger on a short-term deal. They traded for a closer on a short-term deal. They're a year or two away from getting rid of. It's not rid of either. It's getting rid of. Getting rid of Stanton and DJ LeMahieu off the books, where options become that's how they viewed it. When they lost Juan Soto, I think they said, all right, we are no longer committed to this long-term high payroll. And we have a bunch of different options. And there's a lot of different ways this season that we can improve this year in a down American League and still be the best team in the American League. Improve this year defensive and base running and athleticism, which is what the entire fan base and baseball collective world after the World Series
Certainly
told
the Dodgers,
them. Yeah, exactly. Still won't shut their mouths. The collective baseball world told them they need to get better at defensive and athleticism. We can do that. We can get better pitching. We can still improve our offense compared to what it would be with, before Juan Soto, and have flexibility moving forward. That's how they always viewed Plan B.
BT and Sal on the Fan. C-Mac off the overnight in for BT on this Friday. 888-808-1019, the number to call. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Eric is in Riverville, New Jersey. What's up, Eric?
Sal, C-Mac, what's happening, boys?
What's going on, Eric?
Happy Friday, C-Mac. Good to hear you out in the afternoon, my friend.
It's good to be here. Yes.
I'm a little disappointed, though, as a Yankees fan here, kind of how disappointed you are where Cash is, but I do get it. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've always been a Plan B sucks guy. To me, I'm different than most Yankee fans. I don't care about suites. If you could tell Aaron Judge you're giving him double the money, you can tell him you got a suite as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's stupid. Listen, I understand their point, but some line in the sand to draw to not get Juan Soto, I wanted Juan Soto at all costs. Plan B was always going to be lesser.
By the way,
I'm happy with the beginning of Plan B,
right.
But I never expected Plan B to go out there and get a big-time first baseman, a big-time second baseman, a big-time outfielder, a big-time starting pitcher, one of the best closers in baseball. Like, I never expected them to pivot and make it an all-star team.
Go ahead, Eric.
I agree with that. I think, to me, I absolutely wanted Juan Soto. I would have given him whatever he asked for. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then I also wouldn't have to listen to Mets fans like Sal. I didn't want to have to listen to Sal. Come on. But be that as it may, that's where we are. So I think what Cash has done thus far, considering that being the case, I'm relatively happy. But you're right that if it doesn't seem like Bregman's going to be an answer at third. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure. Like, Christian Walker, to me, I don't think it's out. I mean, to your point, like, I haven't heard boo about him in more than a week because the number seems so ridiculous. So my guess is that Cash is just waiting for that to come down. I mean, like, where else is that guy going? Arizona's not giving that guy $60 million. That's not happening.
Well, I mean, maybe
where is he going?
Maybe it could come down, Eric, and thank you for the call. The point is, somebody told Ken Rosenthal that information.
Yeah.
Because the story's out there. Now, so we had Susan on. We had the whole thing with Max Fried, and she was saying there's more to come. And I do believe there are more moves to be made for the Yankees. Yeah. But let's just say even best case scenario for the Yanks. Well, I thought it was realistic that they were going to get Walker. At the very least, like, that's minimum what they should do. On top of Fried and Williams and Bellinger, it should be Walker. I still think they needed more. If you want to really replace Juan Soto in that lineup, and even he's impossible to replace individually, but even collectively, if you want to get better, remember too, like, people knock Gleyber Torres, and I'm one of them, but his offense at the end of the year into the postseason has to be replaced as well. Yeah. It's not just, Bellinger's great. Okay, well, yeah, you lost Gleyber's offense and Soto's offense, and you replaced that with Bellinger.
Right.
That's not a win.
No.
And even if you brought in Walker, that still, to me, is not good enough. And now they might not even get him. So it just, you're right. To me, you're right to say that Plan B was never going to be as good as Plan A. And I get the Yankee fans don't want to acknowledge it. I'm not telling you that as a Met fan. I don't care about that. Right. What I cared about from both perspectives, Mets needed to get Juan Soto for a different reason. Yankees needed to retain Juan Soto. And unfortunately for them, they didn't. And now they're seeing the reality of Plan B.
And a couple things. One, you mentioned Ken Rosenthal in his report. Just to double stamp that as a viable report. Yeah. From up on high, hot stove Jack Curry said the same thing. And if you talk to Yankee fans, he's coming from the Yankees. He's coming from the Yankees. So yes,
and he's the best. Jack is the best.
He's the best, and that's what he floated out on Yankee Hot Stove last night. So there is no doubt. Someone inside the Yankees either wants the Yankee fan to understand it and believe it, or it's the actual truth that they are down on the upper echelon of the free agent market in first base, and they are looking at cheaper options. It's legit. That's exactly what's going on here. So then you get to, I've been trying to tell you why I believe what they're doing. Then the question is, are they doing the right thing? Like, I don't think the New York Yankees, I understand it's not the NFL. It's not even, I don't know, the NBA. Like, these draft picks, I don't know if you can look at an offseason where you just lost Juan Soto, and whether it's perception or reality, and we can argue whether they're the same thing. Right. Like, they just lost Juan Soto to the New York Mets. The entire fan base isn't even questioning just this team. They're questioning whether or not pinstripes matter. Like, in an offseason like that, if you can have a first baseman that would make your fan base, make your offense, make your team believe in itself and be better for $20 million on a short-term deal, which eventually is something I think Christian Walker could come down to. If you're worried about 2 draft picks, like, I think that is terrible sense of where the organization is. I understand the farm system is down. It's ranked anywhere from 12th to 30th, like on whatever list you're looking at.
Inexcusable.
It's you can't worry about draft picks. Like you just can't.
It's inexcusable for them to come away with
right.
Walker.
And then you're worried about draft picks, but you might be willing to trade prospects who actually have value right now.
Right.
Like Lombard and some different guys who actually have value. If you're going to go trade for a Yandy Diaz or like you might have to part with legitimate prospects, which I think they've done a great job. Like that's the other aspect of this, why I'm happy with Plan B. They got Bellinger and one of the best closers in baseball for Nestor Cortez, a prospect you or I didn't hear of 3 months ago.
Right.
And Cody Petit.
Yeah.
Like, that's an excellent job. They still have viable options to go trade. They still have a farm system you can build on where you shouldn't be worried about prospects. I'd rather spend the money than trade a Lombard or some of these other prospects. I think the Yankees are short-sighted here, but I always thought that it would be on some level. They weren't going to make this offense as good. They were never going to.
John is in Bayonne. What's up, John?
C-Mac, I got to say one thing, and Sal got mad at me the other day. You hit the nail on the head, okay? There's a guy called the Martian, okay? He's 21.
Yes.
C-Mac took it the wrong way. I said he's a better tool player than Soto, okay? He plays center field. We got to put Judge back into right field. We got to protect Judge.
He played.
Okay?
He played for about 2 weeks and dropped more balls in the outfield than Juan Soto.
John, what tools exactly does Dominguez possess that are better than Juan Soto?
Okay. Number one is he's lefty-righty. Number two is he's a pro better than...
John, are you wrong?
ahead, John,
I mean,
keep going.
I get your point. I'm sorry to jump all over you, John, because I think we get your point, and you're just going to you're going to dig further and further into a deep hole because
No. What I'm trying to say.
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand when they're looked at like.
Isn't this guy the future of the Yankees?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, guess what, though? You got to give him a chance.
I'm not opposed to that. I agree. Even if they signed Juan Soto, he could have played left field. Like it's not. He could have played center field for this team. Like it's not like it's one or the other.
Yeah, but C-Mac, this is what I'm trying to say is, and Sal gets mad.
I don't get mad. You're saying, what you're trying to say is Dominguez is better than Soto. It sounds idiotic.
Yeah.
No. Soto's a great player. He did good for us, okay, like that.
He did good.
He took you to the World Series.
And he did good, Sal.
Okay, do you protect Judge or do you protect Soto? Let me know. Who do you protect? You protect Judge. Judge got to go back to right field.
Agreed.
Okay? He can't play center. Thank you. Okay?
Agreed.
And Soto can't play center field.
No.
Okay. So what do you
But
do?
Dominguez can. You just told me he's got better. Like he's
John, what
better
is your
defensively.
point, though? Can you just make your point clearly for once? We'll let you talk. Go ahead.
I am. I'm going to tell you right now. The guy's a center fielder. He's not a left fielder. Okay. He's a center fielder, Dominguez. That's where he's been playing in the minors.
But what is your point? What does that have to do with Soto?
Because Soto would have been 15 years. What do you do with Dominguez? You got Judge in center?
You play him in center field.
Yeah, you move Judge to
I'm
left.
confused by what you're saying, John. You're calling him a center fielder. Signing Juan Soto opens up center field. You move Judge to left, or you figure it out. I don't know. But you play Dominguez in center if you want. His point is if you look at the prospect or like what Dominguez could possibly become, a good defensive outfielder who can run the bases, steal bases for you. So when you narrow-mindedly look at it through the narrow landscape of tools, okay, there's a chance he could have more tools than Juan Soto. If he becomes a fifth of the player Juan Soto does, it will be a smashing success.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking? Like, that's just he's trying to wrap an argument around Juan Soto wrapping paper, which is just stupid.
Just let it go.
It's just stupid.
What Yankee fans need to do is acknowledge it's not going to be as good without Juan Soto. It's different, and it doesn't mean that they can't build a good team that could still get to the World Series or even win the World Series. Who knows?
Yeah.
But going in, you're taking the L. You lost Soto, and they know it. They tried to get him. They weren't like, you know what? We can let him go. We don't need to give that sweet up because we can let him go because we have Dominguez ready. Come on,
no, that's not
John. You can't bring that up.
And the other thing that John is just vastly incorrect on, I think signing Juan Soto ensures Dominguez playing more than not signing Juan Soto because they're not going to spend money on an outfielder.
Would you rather be committed long term to Soto or Judge or Stanton even?
Well, I mean, what's like the next 15 years, Juan Soto?
That's the point.
But for the next, Judge is under contract for the next 7.
I get
I'll take Judge for the next 7.
He's 33.
I still would take Judge for the next 7 because I think the next 4, Judge is the better player.
I mean, maybe. And Judge has been the best player in that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But there's also the worry about as you get older, there is going to be a decline. me personally, I think the Yankees would have been better off investing. Now, they've already spent a lot of money,
right?
So their window was kind of shorter, but to me, the better investment is always going to be the 26-year-old
no doubt.
superstar player.
They offered him $760 million.
I get it.
They agree with you.
Yeah, I know.
They just didn't get it done because of King Cohen.
BT, and that's something that's going to be a problem. BT and Sal on the Fan. C-Mac in for BT on this Friday.